My sister gave me the DNA test on my birthday like it was a party trick. She handed over the small box with a grin and said, loud enough for everyone at the table to hear, "Maybe this will explain why you're another man's mistake in the family." A few people laughed. The quick, uncomfortable kind of laughter that families use when someone says something slightly too honest. My mother kept cutting her cake. My father stared at the table. No one told my sister to stop. I held the box in my hand for a moment and forced a small smile. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. By then, I was used to the comments. "You don't really look like us. You must have gotten that from somewhere else. You've always been different." They said these things over the years like harmless observations. But eventually, you understand the message underneath. That night I went home and left the box on my kitchen counter. For 2 days I ignored it. I told myself it didn't matter. If the test said I belonged to the family, nothing would change. And if it didn't, well, that would just confirm what everyone seemed to believe already. Eventually curiosity won. I mailed the sample and tried to forget about it. Weeks later the results arrived in an email while I was sitting on my couch after work. They didn't say what my sister expected. My father was still my father. But the report showed something else I hadn't anticipated. A close DNA match linked to a surname I didn't recognize. Not a distant relative either, something much closer. At first I assumed it was a mistake. But the name kept appearing in the database results. I searched online out of quiet curiosity. The name belonged to a man who had died earlier that year, and according to public records, his estate was still unsettled. I closed the laptop and told myself I was overthinking it. DNA databases connect people in strange ways. It probably meant nothing. Life continued normally. My sister still made the occasional joke about the family mystery. I stopped responding. Silence worked better than arguments. 3 months after my birthday, my phone rang. The caller introduced himself as the family's estate lawyer. I recognized the name immediately. He had handled my grandparents' affairs years ago. "There's a matter we need to discuss," he said carefully. "It involves you. I'd like the entire family present." The wording was formal enough to make me uneasy. A week later we all sat in his conference room. My sister looked irritated, like the meeting was interrupting her schedule. My parents were quiet. The lawyer had several folders neatly arranged in front of him. He began explaining that he had been reviewing unresolved legal documents connected to a man who had died without publicly acknowledged heirs. Recent inheritance verification procedures required DNA confirmation in certain cases. That's when, he explained, my DNA profile appeared in a connected database. My sister frowned. "What does that have to do with us?" The lawyer slid a document across the table. "The deceased," he said calmly, "was your mother's biological father." My mother's face went completely still. The lawyer continued in the same steady tone. "The relationship was never publicly recognized. However, the estate required confirmation of any living descendants." Everyone seemed to assume he meant my sister. Then he looked directly at me. "The DNA verification confirms the only matching grandchild is you." The room fell silent. My sister blinked, confused. "That doesn't make sense," the lawyer answered gently. "Your DNA profile does not match the required markers. But his does." No one spoke after that. The rest of the explanation was legal language about records, inheritance rights, and documentation that had been hidden for decades. But the conclusion was simple. The man had left his estate to his only verified grandchild, me. When the meeting ended, everyone stood quietly. My sister looked unsettled, like she had accidentally uncovered something she never intended to prove. Outside, the afternoon looked ordinary. Cars passed. People walked by. For most of my life, I had been treated like the uncertain part of the family. Now there was proof of something none of them expected. Not revenge, just clarity. And for the first time, I realized I didn't need anyone at that table to confirm where I belonged.